Welcome back to Bookish Dives. We've done a couple of these before, but today we're pulling out some source material that's, it's hilarious, sometimes deeply cringeworthy, and actually surprisingly insightful all at the same time.
Right. And our mission for you today, the learner, is basically to synthesize the foundational life lessons, the career wisdom, which is pretty tactical, and yeah, the just utterly unforgettable stories from Tina Fey's 2011 memoir, Bossypants.
What we've got here isn't just, a bunch of funny anecdotes. It's really a shortcut to understanding this incredibly precise, analytical, and, let's be honest, anxious mind behind so much modern sketch comedy.
Absolutely. We're tracing things from her status as a surprise baby all the way through navigating the often strange and sometimes pretty gross world of television.
Yeah, and we're extracting the rules, the sort of principles that seem to guide her success. Let's unpack those key nuggets of knowledge and the surprisingly deep life rules she lays out.
Right. So to really get Tina Fey, you have to start with the groundwork, right? How she frames her own identity. And she grounds it in her parentage, Greek and German. She calls it the ultimate ethnically ambiguous mix. And also her father, Don Fey. He looms large. She describes him as a Goldwater Republican, but also a, quote, total badass code breaker.
And she also frames her whole existence around a couple of key things. First, being a change-of-life baby born in 1970, apparently her mom's office friends were already asking about retirement plans.
Yeah, that sense of being sort of an unexpected add-on, it seems like it gave her this observational distance, maybe.
Could be.
It definitely gave her perspective. She mentions feeling like the whitest girl in her very Greek neighborhood, but then she goes off to UVA and suddenly she's pegged as Mexican by her, blonde, horse-owning classmates.
So never quite fitting in anywhere.
Exactly. Which, as you know, is often pretty fertile ground for a comedian.
Right. And the other big defining thing is that physical marker, the scar on her face from, an early incident. She calls it a miniature form of celebrity.
And she uses how people react to it as this fascinating sociological litmus test. That's her phrase.
Okay, sociological litmus test. What does she mean by that exactly?
Well, she observes that people who ask about the scar within, the first week of knowing her, they almost always turn out to be, in her words, egomaniacs of average intelligence or less.
Wow, okay. That's quite a judgment.
It is, but here's the specific analytical part. She notes these exact people often end up in TV journalism.
TV journalism. Why that specifically? That seems pointed.
Well, if you think about the context she sets up, narcissism, this sort of low-level celebrity chasing, she seems to be saying these are people driven to insert themselves into someone else's story.
Oh, okay.
They ask about the star not out of real empathy, maybe, but because they need to be the one who got the story, who broke through. She's sort of identifying that invasive quality.
So she only mentions it in the book to preempt those kinds of questions, like from the hosts of, Access Movie Town?
Pretty much, yeah. She wants to control that narrative.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit from identity to public image, she has some incredibly sharp things to say about beauty standards, especially how impossible they've become.
Oh, totally. She contrasts the sort of narrow yellow hair ideal of the 70s, things Cheryl Teigs, Farrah Fawcett,
right,
with what's demanded today, which she paints as just completely contradictory and absurd.
Yeah, that list she includes is something else. Let me see if I remember it. Women are supposed to have Caucasian blue eyes, full Spanish lips, a Jamaican dance hall ass.
Long Swedish legs, small Japanese feet, the abs of a lesbian gym owner.
The hips of a 9-year-old boy, the arms of Michelle Obama, and dull tits. It's
exhausting. And her point is that it's this kind of Frankensteinian ideal cobbled together from everywhere.
It's a standard basically designed so everyone fails.
Exactly. And that leads her into this interesting discussion about when women realize they're actually grown women.
Right. She surveyed women for Mean Girls. And for a lot of them, that moment was tied to, harassment. Like men yelling stuff from cars.
Yeah, that sudden, unwanted confirmation of being seen as a sexual object. But for Fey herself, it was different.
Her big moment was buying a suit.
Kind of. It was buying a kick-ass white denim suit at the Springfield Mall and wearing it to senior awards night in '88 to accept a scholarship.
So claiming her adult space through, fashion and achievement, not trauma.
Seems like it's a telling contrast. And then speaking of less empowering experiences, we get the gynecologist story.
Oh, God, yes. Age 23, Planned Parenthood in Chicago, just trying to be responsible.
And she ends up with a nurse practitioner using a speculum she describes as the size of a milkshake machine.
which leads to her fainting twice.
Twice. And the punchline, delivered with absolutely zero bedside manner, is the nurse saying, "You have a short vagina. I think I hit you in the cervix."
Oof. It's brutal, but also darkly funny in the retelling. It really strips away any sort of medical dignity.
Totally. It's expectation versus reality, which kind of perfectly tees up her early career path. Before Second City, before SNL, there was the Evanston YMCA.
Which she called the epicenter of all human grimness. This was after she couldn't even lie her way into a job at Ruby Tuesday.
Right. But the YMCA, grim as it was, taught her something important about workplace dynamics. She saw this power pyramid.
The disenfranchised residents at the bottom.
The hardworking, essential women holding things together in the middle.
And the useless men floating at the top.
Pretty much. But the main lesson wasn't really about management. It was simpler. Just how to be a considerate coworker, like covering the phone so someone can finally go pee.
That basic human decency. Seems small, but maybe it connects later.
I think it does. It feels like a precursor to her management style. But the real core of her philosophy, the stuff she explicitly codified, came from the Second City.
The rules of improvisation.
Exactly. And she makes it clear these aren't just for comedy scenes. They became her key managerial lessons.
Okay, we should definitely break these down. They feel like the most actionable takeaways for the listener. Rule 1, yes, ND.
Right. Most people get the yes part, agree with your partner's reality, but the ND is crucial. You have to add something, contribute. Don't just accept.
So in a work context, that means not just saying okay to an idea, but immediately thinking, okay, and how can we build on this? Or yes, and what if we also tried?
Exactly. It prevents blocking. It keeps the momentum going forward, especially in creative teams.
Okay, rule 2, make statements. Don't just ask questions constantly. Be part of the solution.
Yeah, and she specifically targets this advice towards women in the workplace. She talks about avoiding apologetic questions.
What's an example of that?
Like she imagines a surgeon walking in and asking, "I'm going to be your surgeon. I'm here to talk about your procedure." It sounds tentative, like seeking permission.
Oh, right. Instead of just saying, I'm Dr. Smith, your surgeon, let's discuss the procedure.
Exactly. It's about asserting your presence and knowledge with confidence, especially when you're pitching something or negotiating. Make declarative statements.
Makes sense. And the third one, which sounds the most liberating, there are no mistakes, only opportunities.
This one's huge. Her example is great. If you think you're a cop on a bicycle, but your scene partner thinks you're a hamster on a wheel, fine.
You become a police hamster.
You become a police hamster. You don't correct them, you incorporate it. The mistake becomes the new reality, a new opportunity for comedy or story.
And professionally, that means what? If a project fails or a pitch bombs?
It creates psychological safety. If there are no mistakes, just outcomes you can learn from or repurpose, people feel safer taking big creative risks. A bomb joke isn't a failure. It's maybe, I don't know, material for a different bit later.
Okay, so these 3 rules, yes and, make statements, no mistakes, they all feed into this idea of Bossypants.
Right, and she defines Bossypants not as like yelling and bossing people around.
No arm waving or chanting, I am the boss.
Right. It's more about having the quiet confidence and authority to hire really talented people, trust them, and then basically get out of their way so they can use those improv rules together.
Okay, so if we connect these fairly rational improv rules to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
we have to talk about the SNL workplace reality she describes,
Mm-hmm.
which was not always rational.
Understatement. Yeah, her insights into the comedy writer's room are bracingly honest. It makes her success there using her Bossypants approach seem even more remarkable.
This is where it gets kind of legendary, maybe a bit gross. The infamous difference between male and female comedy writers.
Well, the urination observation, yes. She states, quite matter-of-factly, that the main difference is that the men sometimes urinate in cups or jars.
Which are then just left
on the bookshelf, quote, to evaporate and be absorbed back into their body through the pores on their face.
Okay, wow, that's vivid. And she presents this as like a literal observation.
Absolutely literal. She even doubles down, recalling asking producer Steve Higgins about a specific Weekend Update piss jar, and he apparently confirmed it, adding a detail about
Don't tell me. The booger.
the booger that had been wiped on the wall and then just painted over.
Oh, lovely. Just lovely. But okay, that sets the scene, right? This is the environment. Intense, male-dominated, and apparently sometimes unsanitary.
Exactly. And she navigated it using courtesy and improv rules, which is quite a contrast.
That sense of chaos seems to follow her into her personal life, too, like the honeymoon story.
Oh, the cruise. Yes.
Wow.
Taken because her husband fears flying. It becomes this sort of masterclass in anxiety management, or maybe anxiety validation.
Because everything that could go wrong kind of did.
Pretty much. It started with her forgetting they'd booked an extra excursion, leading to a compensatory food binge.
All the chocolate mudslides and soft serve. I remember that detail.
And then, just to cap it off, an actual fire breaks out on the ship.
Right. And the specific detail about the announcement during the fire.
The woman's voice just panting over the intercom. Bravo! 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 Which is maritime code for a serious situation.
But the really wild part was what she learned later about that code.
Yes. The secret addendum. Apparently in maritime law, if they say bravo a fourth time,
The performer who doubles as the lifeboat captain
is trained to shoot anyone who becomes disruptive once the lifeboat is actually launched and in the water.
That is dark. And also kind of amazing, the cruise ship singer having lethal authority.
It's the ultimate intersection of showbiz necessity and high-stakes reality, right?
Totally. Okay, so moving past SNL, past the near-death cruise,
Yeah.
she creates 30 Rock. Lauren Michaels helps her negotiate the deal.
And she describes her state during this period with a word she made up. Blorfed.
Blorfed, meaning...
Completely overwhelmed, but proceeding as if everything is fine. Which sounds like basically being a showrunner.
Pretty much, yeah. And there's that great Freudian slip when Jeff Zucker at NBC finally, sort of grudgingly, picks up the show for the rest of the season.
Instead of saying thank you, she blurts out,
You're welcome.
"You're welcome," which just speaks volumes about her belief in the show, even when the network was skeptical.
Yeah, she reflects later they were trying to make, like, the next home improvement something broad and huge.
But instead, they accidentally made blood pressure medicine, as she puts it. Smart, maybe a bit niche, high-stress comedy. Not the easy Viagra hit they wanted.
But she knew its value. Which brings us to the Sarah Palin phenomenon. That 6-week whirlwind.
Right, which she initially resisted doing. She was genuinely worried the liberal New York SNL audience would boo her, confusing the impersonation with endorsement or something.
So she made some really smart tactical moves to manage that.
Totally, like requesting they start the sketch backstage, seen only on monitors. That was apparently to protect the real Governor Palin from getting booed by the studio audience if she were standing right there.
Controlling the environment.
Yeah.
And then when the actual Palin appeared on the show later,
Fey refused to do a two-shot, standing side by side. And her reason wasn't political.
it was because, quote, she really is taller and better looking than I am.
Pure tactical honesty. Managing her own image, prioritizing the comedy over the photo op.
And the sort of ultimate lesson from that whole intense period, maybe from her whole career up to that point, seems captured by that Amy Poehler story.
Oh, the Jimmy Fallon incident, yeah. He apparently told Amy to stop doing some joke he found vulgar.
And Amy's response was just
Perfect.
immediate and absolute, I don't fucking care if you like it.
Which Faye then takes as a mantra for dealing with sexism, ageism, any kind of irrelevant criticism in the workplace.
Her takeaway is so clean. Unless one of these men is my boss, it's irrelevant. Don't waste energy fighting battles with people who don't actually control your fate.
Just do your work. Outpace them.
Exactly. Do the work so well that their opinion becomes meaningless. That feels like the core of her Bossypants strategy, domination through competence and focus.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, the learner? I mean, this dive really shows that Faye's success seems to be this potent mix of, like, intense discipline.
Yeah, the improv rules, the work ethic, and this ability to just embrace and synthesize total absurdity, whether it's, workplace bodily fluids or a getting cruise ship with armed performers.
It's quite the combination. And she ends the memoir addressing that question she clearly hates, the one every successful working mother gets. How do you juggle it all?
And her answer is refreshingly honest, if a bit bleak. It involves triannual torrential sobbing in her office.
And acknowledging that sometimes, for your own sanity, you just have to lie about breastfeeding to manage everyone's expectations.
It's a really raw look at the pressure. Which leads us to her final point, which feels pretty provocative.
Yeah. Despite all her discipline and intentionality, she concludes her life is just constantly ruled by anxiety. She pictures it as a little tiny person with nothing to worry about, running in circles, worried out of her mind.
So it leaves you wondering, right?
Definitely. It raises this big question. Can that level of comedic genius, that kind of professional domination, can it only really happen alongside or maybe even because of this relentless, churning, productive anxiety? Is that fear the engine?
Something to think about. We hope this dive into the source material was valuable for you. If you want more book summaries and critical analysis like this, designed to get you well-informed quickly.
Make sure you follow Bookish Dives wherever you get your podcasts.
Join us next time for another stack of sources.